Welcome to Cigars and Hip Hop. A show about hip hop during its golden age era.
Turn my mic on.
We'll also be discussing cigars and drinks that we enjoy during the discussion.
What's in your cup but you be smoking up.
And now, let's get on with the show. What's up, cigar and hip hop fans? How we doing? It's been a while since we've been together, but we had to take care of some personal business. But here we are. We're back. On this episode, we're going to be discussing Kanye West today as a producer, as an artist, and maybe even compare him to other producers through the industry. We're also going to get into some beef and rap battles, such as the one that we've had recently. You get to hear our opinion. But hey, let's get on with the show.
So what's up, guys? How you guys been?
You know how I've been.
I know how you been.
Well, you know what? I did have a good experience. September 1st, went down to LA for my goddaughter. It was her birthday, and she got baptized on that day as well. So I got to spend time with family. And you know, it's crazy because I ain't never really been a big fan of kids. But this little girl, dude, her name's Carolina, was with her from like 7 o'clock that morning until midnight. She didn't cry one time, dude. She was having fun. The music came on. You know, dude, Mexican people can party. Mexicans know how to party. It don't matter if it's a fucking baby shower, after the funeral party, whatever, but they had the DJ, they had the big tent up, the jumper, they had a taquero come. Dude had some, man, I don't know, I think I was eating like some chorizo tacos or something, man. I was just like, I had grease dripping all down my face. It was nice. So that kind of made things the last 2 months a little bit easier, So that was cool. Instead of seeing family over bad things, deaths, so at least we got to see family for a different reason now. So that was cool. You guys been good?
Yeah, I've been up and up, handling business, working on different shit.
I hear you.
Trying to keep busy.
You got that little grin on your face. I don't know. Shit.
Oh. My bad, don't mind me.
Look like you've been up to no good.
No, I'm just over here checking the volume, looking at different shit online.
He's looking like, I got me a new hoe. I can.
No.
Got me a new woman.
Nah, I got no time for that right now.
She been paying me. Nah, I feel you, man.
Same here. Just working. Keeping up with the beefs and new music coming out, and also got to watch some YouTube videos where they got old school rappers with some younger rappers.
Oh, shit.
They talk about what the expectation is, or what the misunderstanding is, or what the current opinion is out there on the street regarding current rap. And so I thought it was a good discussion, just because they get a chance both sides to speak about why. But actually the good outcome was that some of the kids were saying that instead of them getting fired or just fucking being opinionated from the old school guys, they probably would want some help from them, like some mentor.
They need some help.
Yeah,
they need some. I mean, well, before we get into that conversation,
how you doing?
How's our brother down there doing?
Oh man, been busy. A lot of work. Just working, listening to a lot of new stuff. Just been, grinding right now. Work's got me going hard right now.
That's it.
Yeah, it's not too bad though. Can't complain.
That's cool.
Bills are getting paid on time. That's all I care about.
Shit, tell me about it now.
That's all I care about.
For real. But no, back to what you were saying. I have mixed emotions on that, because the respect that was given to when we were coming up to people like Big Daddy Kane and Biz Markie, and when you heard them, you knew everything that was coming out was just gonna be a hit, was fire, and it wasn't like it was limited that we just had those two artists. We had East Coast, West Coast, we had a whole bunch of different artists, but we knew specific ones that were coming out with some hot stuff. Youngsters now, they're respected not for the verbiage just coming out their mouth. They're respected more of, that you see so-and-so he had that Gucci bag, he had this, he had... hip-hop and fashion have always intertwined.
Yeah.
But now, with the youngsters, it's more focused more on fashion than lyricism. And for them to be able to take some type of advice from somebody like a Chuck D, a Marley Marl, a Dr. Dre, and tell them, hey, look, tone this down, but tune this up. I think with their egos and all, they'd have a hard time accepting the type of constructive criticism that they would need to really progress in the business. Because a lot of these dudes now is just overnight sensations and one-hitter quitters.
Right. Yeah, I was just talking to Seismic here about, I was reading an article about Kanye West's latest. It's called I Love It. And the video went viral because they're wearing these boxy looking costumes, oversized. Which one I thought, okay, well, didn't Missy Elliott do that back in the 90s where they were doing like crazy ass videos?
Yeah, she had on that inflatable looking suit, doing that black shiny thing. Yeah.
So if you want to call someone genius, where were those
should
videos?
Go back to Missy. Yeah.
And then the other thing is, the article was saying that this is like the best release from Kanye West since 2015, and I was like, and then I listened to the song, the lyrics, and these are the lyrics to the song. I like fuck quick, I like my dick sucked. I mean, come on. I'm not a writer, but I could have written those lyrics.
I don't really know too much of what to say about Kanye West. The College Dropout and all those albums, I was like #1 fan. Loved it to death. But it's just like, I don't know what happened. He still has a huge following. He's still a brilliant artist.
Sure.
But I think he's going through that phase. What's that artist? Was it Van Gogh? Who cut off his ear?
I think it was Van Gogh.
He's going through a Van Gogh syndrome right now. He's trying to find himself and he's stressing.
Yeah.
And he's just coming out, and some shit that he's thinking is sounding just like fire to him is basically just doo-doo. And I mean, Kanye, in just my opinion, Kanye haven't had no heat in a long time. He's been in publicity about a whole bunch of controversial shit.
Yeah.
But honestly, which one of us here would want to be... You want to be on the news because you said some dumb shit about slavery, or you want to be on the news because people are celebrating that you just had a multi-million-dollar selling CD or MP3 download, whatever they call the shit now, stream, whatever.
Yeah.
I want to be on the news because I'm about to get broke off some bread because my music is heat. Not because I said some dumb shit about slavery and being a supporter of an asshole president. So Kanye is... He out there right now. I think next thing he gonna be doing is some self-mutilation type shit, and have people walking down the fucking runway doing that and trying to sell that. He's mixed up right now, and it's them. Well, I ain't gonna talk about why, because I don't want to be on. I'm just some no name, but I don't want to be on fucking TV because he done threatened me for saying something about his family.
Yeah, I mean,
because I ain't got shit to lose.
You can't take the genius out of the guy. I mean, the guy is a genius, but I just think that he himself isn't putting out good stuff. I mean, I don't know. Chris over here knows more about Mr. West.
No, I mean, yeah, his first 3 albums are classic albums.
Classics.
I will never disagree that. It's not until you get to the mid 2010s, 11, 12s is where he starts experimenting with like just straight 808s and like, more synthesizer, or he made the transition from, I guess he felt that he accomplished everything he needed to do as a rapper / producer with those first 3 albums, which is understandable. I mean, those first 3 albums, not many people put out an album that's better than the first album, that's better than the second album, that's better, you know. There was a natural progression to his evolution as an artist, and once he reached that kind of top, he, like you said, he tried to rediscover who he is, or he tried to, you know, maybe things got stale and he needed to try stuff. However, I think he fell short, and it kind of reminds me of, for boxing fans, it reminds me of Roy Jones Jr., right? He was like one of the greatest, like, lightweight, I think he was.
Mm-hmm.
I could be 100% wrong on that, but
He was a good ass boxer.
but his class that he fought in,
Yeah.
he basically dominated everybody.
Yep.
So he decided, well, I need to challenge myself, so I'm gonna move to heavyweight. And what happened when he went to heavyweight? He got fucking knocked out. Like he got rocked. Like
He got knocked the fuck out.
yeah, like that's the thing, is not everybody can do that. Like James Toney was able to move from that weight to the heavyweight because it was built that way.
Yeah.
Roy Jones Jr. wasn't, and I felt like I see Kanye West that way. Me and my brother had a really interesting debate about like producers in hip hop, and like he was asking me, like, we had this really intense conversation about like top 10 producers in hip hop and stuff like that, and Kanye West isn't in my top 10 hip hop producers. Like, I don't think anything he's done has transcended anything that somebody else hasn't already done. There's a lot of other producers that I see in Kanye West that have done it before him. So to me, I think Kanye West is an amazing producer. I think he's easily a top 15 producer, but I don't think he's God's gift to producing. I think there's a lot other producers out there that have that same kind of style. You know, he's just able to market it a lot better. Plus, he joined Rockefeller. He had the backing of Jay-Z. He had the backing of Dame Dash and all of those guys. So it's like he got pushed harder, you know. But again, he makes amazing music, but I don't feel that his music is anything that I haven't already heard before. Like his Chicago soul style is just a twist of the G-Funk era.
Yeah.
Warren G was doing that way before he was doing it.
Yeah.
And then before that, you got Daz, who does the same thing with the soul beats. And obviously you have the architect, who is Dr. Dre, who also takes, you know, he's the architect of that recreation of the funk sound, right?
With that little synthesizer mixed in, that Roger Zapp type shit.
I mean, that's basically where Kanye West's style is evolved from. Is those three did it way before Kanye West. Now that's not to say that Kanye West is a better producer than Daz or Warren G and stuff. That's debatable.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's debatable.
I mean, you can even throw DJ Quick into that mix, right? Like DJ Quick was also doing this way before as well, and his style is very much that soul funk hip hop sound, right? So I don't know. Kanye West has another album coming out, Yandi. We'll see how it goes. It's supposed to be a sequel to Yeezus, which was I've learned I don't want to call other people's work of art trash or garbage. Like, I don't know, there's something that I've been reading about stuff lately, and just like the way you categorize or downplay someone's work of art. I stopped trying to call it trash. What I will say is I think Yeezus fell to reach my ear the way that College Dropout or Graduation or any of his other albums like hit my ear, and I felt like his heart wasn't in that album. So I'm interested. Like I'll give Yandi a listen. I don't know, and I'm trying to go in with expectations low or no expectations so that I can absorb the album in its correct manner. Because I don't want to go in being like, oh, this is going to be trash. Why am I even listening to this?
Exactly.
That's not the way you should go into listening to an album. There's so many albums that I've listened to like this year that I was like, I didn't have any expectation. I was like, wow, this is amazing. Like the production work is awesome. The beats, the rhymes, everything is great. So I want to go into this album with that kind of mind state, but it's hard when Kanye West acts like a buffoon and, you know, you're just like, it's almost like you're rooting against him, and I don't want to root against him because he has given us 3 classic albums. I would
Exactly.
say. I mean, some people will say maybe 4 or 5 classic albums, depending on what they like to listen to. Me personally, the first 3 albums are top 50 albums I've ever listened to in my life.
I agree.
There's a lot of albums I've listened to in my life. So we'll see. But yeah.
I mean, I feel like he rushed through the majority of the projects that we see him release this past year. I was talking to my brother about this on the way over here that like the majority of the projects that he's put work on produced wise, like he those sound great, but when it came down to his own personal music, it wasn't up to the same caliber, and I feel like it was almost like he tried too hard. Like I've always heard this in my art class that sometimes you need to take a step back for your artwork to be good. Like take your art to the furthest extent that you can take it, and then take a step back. Take one step back, and then you'll have it. Then it'll be good. I feel like he was trying too hard to appeal to the new generation, to the new audience that we see today, which is why when we see the "I Love It" track, which although it's catchy, there was no substance to it. I felt like I felt like he gave me a sandwich and no meat and just the bun and maybe a lettuce. Like there was nothing there. I was like, okay, this is catchy. It's a 2-minute track, something that I would find myself listening to in between tracks on the album that I wouldn't even get much attention to. Maybe an interlude. It didn't seem much of a track to me. But that is just my opinion. He had Little Pump on there, and the funny thing was I felt like his verse had more substance than fucking Kanye's verse on that track.
And it's probably because Little Pump was with J. Cole.
You're right.
J.
Actually,
Cole, like they squashed their beef.
Yeah.
So it's like maybe Little Pump's in his head's like, well, I can do like that's the thing is like, I feel like anybody can make a rap song, right? Like I could go spend $40-$50 on some low grade equipment, whatever, some software, and I can just go put out a beat.
Yeah,
right?
you can
put out a song, right?
Yeah.
Anybody can do it.
Yeah.
But a true artist like takes
Time.
pride and time in their art, right? And I think that's kind of like what you said. It's like, there's so many artists that like will paint something and then they'll look at it and they'll hate it. Somebody else will come in and think it's an amazing piece of art, but it doesn't reach that artist's like
expectation
of what he thinks, so it will never get released, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's the thing is like, just because you're Kanye doesn't mean you have to put out something. Like,
you're right. Yeah.
Like you have so many, and I think it also boils down to so many like, and excuse the term, you have so many dick riders in your crew that are like, oh my god, this is amazing.
Oh, this is fire.
Yeah.
Oh, this
like,
is
yes
shit.
man. Yes man.
some
But
yes men, right?
yeah.
So it's like, why not just tell somebody like, yo, man, I don't think this is. Are you afraid that he's going to get mad at you and cut you off?
No, you should be able to take that criticism as an artist.
Right.
You should be able to take that criticism and move forward constructively.
Right. So I think there's a huge. A lot of people's lives are at stake when they say no to somebody who's paying their bills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like.
But I guess that it depends on the person. Because I would rather someone tell me straight up that my shit doesn't sound right.
Right.
And it doesn't necessarily. I wouldn't necessarily
you don't have to be rude about it.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
It can be constructive criticism can always be, hey man, I think this kind of falls flat. Maybe try something different. I don't know.
But ain't that what the engineer is for?
Yes and no. Yes and no. I mean, technically speaking, the engineer is there for the sole purpose to put together the track while you're there, but the majority input comes from higher ups, either the label, the manager, the artists themselves,
And
the
that's
producer.
when you need to have a contingency plan. Tell your crew, check this out.
Yeah.
I'm not paying for shit no more. Everybody's going to be paid on percentage of my sales. So it's going to depend on you as well if I sound good or if I sound like shit.
Yeah.
So when I tell you how it sound, think about it. You getting paid, that percentage is dependent on how it sounds. So if it sound like boo-boo, you get paid boo-boo.
You know what? I like that.
If it sound like fire, y'all motherfuckers about to get broke off.
You need to get that consignment.
Exactly.
That's true.
This is a rent-to-own friendship, motherfuckers.
No. It's true. You have to put your money where your mouth is, pretty much. I mean,
Because a yes man is not going to get you paid.
No.
Should I jump off this cliff? Yeah, boss, go ahead and do it. Am I gonna survive? Yeah, boss, you gonna do
Oh
it.
yeah, you'll be
You'll
just
be
fine. You'll be just
great.
fine.
No, yeah. So I think that's just. I think a lot of it is that's what it is. I mean, you can never discourage somebody who's trying to look outside the box musically or artistically.
Yeah.
You know, so much great pieces of art, whether it be music, TV, movies, art, books, whatever, has always been from somebody who looked outside the box.
Exactly.
But there is a certain type of like standard that you have to envision for it, and your close circle has to envision that as well. And if you're falling short, it should be responsibility of the people that are around you to tell you, hey man, this is falling short. But it's also up to you as the artist to not take things as like, you know, personally.
Yeah.
You know, I understand that a piece of art is personal, but you know, when you're trying to mass produce it for something,
Yeah.
you have to kind of look outside of it because
There has to be some compromise.
yeah.
And you know, and art, it's really just like the point that you brought out, which was excellent. That artist has that piece, that painting, that I may look at and be like, that's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in the world. And the artist is like, you know what, I think it's some crap. I think of a movie, and this is a little bit off of the music side, but I think of a movie, one of my favorite movies of all time, Clockwork Orange.
Oh, amazing.
Has any of you ever seen that?
Stanley Kubrick.
Stanley, I mean, dude, the fucking Stanley Kubrick, that movie, I saw it, I think I was probably like 8, 9 years old. I was sitting on the edge of the bed, and I watched it, and I was so fucking fascinated, and this is probably the reason that I'm so fucked up now, but it was a rape scene.
Right.
And I was watching it like, oh my God, it was like, I had never seen anything like it. And it stuck in my head. And as I got older, as an adult, I bought the DVD and watched that entire movie. Not fascinated by the rape scene, but just fascinated by how graphic it was and how twisted it was. It was a work of art. Now, to have a conversation with somebody who's really a Christian, or even though I do call myself a Christian, somebody who's really a Bible thumper, they will look at it and be like, oh my God, that's trash.
Right.
That's absolute trash. So everybody has differences of opinions when it comes to certain things, but the Kanye West shit, everybody is pretty on the same road, being like, the first 3 are classics and will always be, but everything after that has fallen short. And I think everybody, no matter what type of art lover you are, you will agree. I think even some of his hardest fans will agree, yeah, it ain't as hot as the first 3.
Right.
He got to get back on point.
Yeah.
He needs to get away from whatever environment or whatever things are out there that are influencing his opinion right now, and just go back to be like, what was my mindset when I made those first 3?
Well, I'll tell you what it was. He was broke.
That he was
He
not
had
famous.
he had lost his
He was
mother.
hungry.
Right.
He was hungry.
There was a lot of things that, you know, that was in that mixture.
Yeah.
And I think now he's kind of getting settled, feeling good, feeling his balls again, and he wants to test some shit. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
But here's a question for you guys, all right? I mean, you know, to your point about art, to your point about sales, you know, in hip hop, well, if we get away from hip hop and we look at some rock artists like Radiohead,
Yeah.
Grateful Dead, I mean, they have a following.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys don't put an album every year. They don't put
No.
an album every. They put an album every like 4 or 5 years.
Did you say Grateful Dead?
Well, Grateful Dead. They're
Grateful Dead.
Ain't that motherfucker
He dead.
Garcia dead?
Yeah.
Jerry
I hope he ain't bringing out no motherfucking music.
No, I'm just saying.
Shit.
You're grateful.
If that motherfucker, he's a Grateful Dead motherfucker.
Shit.
I'm just saying the following, the branding that those guys have.
Yeah.
I think in hip hop, you know, some people have been able to make their names, and whenever they're about to drop something, I think the fan base has an expectation of them, right?
Yeah, the fan base is
And I'm just
very
trying to
strict
say,
with
I
that.
guess I'm asking a question. I'm, you know, just wondering.
I mean, I think that the thing is with hip hop, it's different than a lot of like rock and roll or any other genre, is that in hip hop, you really only have maybe 3 albums in you, and then you're pretty much people are done with you.
Exactly.
There's very few artists that transcend through genre, like through the years, right? You have like, when you look at like, if you look at like artists from the 80s, they don't transcend well into the nows because people today, they don't want to listen to that kind of stuff. They just want some crazy ass beat and they want just a bunch of mumbling, which is, as I've gotten older now, I'm starting to just kind of accept that people want to listen to what they want to listen to, right?
Yeah.
But people don't really care about listening to the lyricism that came from the 80s to, I mean, I'm talking about younger generation, not necessarily our generation, because we're all pretty much close in generations, maybe one or two generations apart from each other, but a lot of the kids don't want to listen to that.
No.
You know? And I think there's this, I don't want to hype this guy because I can't remember his name, but there's a dude on YouTube right now that he'll basically go in and he'll watch like videos from 80s and 90s, and because he didn't grow up in that. He's like 16, 17, so he grew up he was born in the 2000s, so he has no knowledge of the past, but he's going out there and he's learning about it. And basically what he does is he looks at a video from the 80s, 90s, and he'll like basically live react to it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and people in the comments will leave artist names like, oh, you got to check this out, and he'll play it, and he'll watch it, and he'll record it, and he'll talk about it. And I think what's interesting to me is that a lot of it is like, there was who was the artist? I can't remember who the artist was that he was watching, but the way he was like, I think it was Nas. I could be wrong. But when he was watching it, he was basically stopping it because he'll comment on it. And he was like, this shit's way too deep for me. Like, I don't understand what he's talking about. And then that clicked in my head. It was like, yes, they don't understand what they're talking about because, like, back in then, it was all about the drug game. Like,
exactly.
That's what it was about back then. It was about hustling, selling rocks on the corner, ducking cops.
Yep.
That's what it was about. And not to say that I understand it because I didn't live that life. Like,
I did. And I miss
Guilty
it.
as charged.
Yeah, I miss that shit.
But I don't understand it. But I was able to comprehend that, and I think that's the difference. But it also came from a lot of we grew up with a lot of hood movies that helped bring light to a lot of watching, like you said, like Clockwork Orange.
Yeah.
Like when I first saw Boys in the Hood, it was the same thing for me. Like that's such a piece of art to me that it opened my eyes to more of inner city youth. Like, I didn't grow up in the inner city. My family didn't grow up in the inner city. So it's not like I had to plug in the inner city. It was just more of like, you saw this and you're like, oh shit, is this really what life is like? And then I confirm with people like, yo, that's what life is like. And like, mind is blown.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of partly what it is. But like I said, like to go back to the original part of it was that, most hip hop artists only have about 3 albums in them. Mm-hmm. Then you start to see a decline in their work.
Yep.
A great example, the great Eminem. He had 3 great albums, and then it kind of went down because he got, from his own words, and I'm paraphrasing here, he got heavy into different kinds of drugs. He wasn't himself. He was all over the place, and it wasn't from a lack of lyrical skill. Because if you listen to those albums, they're all still very lyrically talented, but it just wasn't the music that his fans wanted.
Exactly.
It was the music that he felt at the time, and it was like, then he comes out with this latest album, which is, I think, a masterpiece, is on par with his first 3 albums, which is amazing. Kamikaze, which is, it blows my mind. But it just shows you, he always had that. It was always in him to do it. It's just the right mind state to produce that kind of music. And I think it's sad when you see people's, you just see the decline. And it's like in basketball, you see it in football, you see it in baseball, you see it in sports all the time.
That's right.
Once you hit the mountaintop, there's only one way to go.
Down.
It's not up, it's down. And it's up to you if you want to jump onto that next mountain and climb back up to the top.
And that concludes another episode of Cigars and Hip Hop. See you next time. Peace.